All right, man. So it's time for me to say something. There's a lot of stuff that's going on worldwide right now. It's not just going on in LA, it's going on in Minneapolis and other places. So I just want to say that this is not new to black people, what's happening. And when I speak, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for an organization. I'm not speaking for a community. I'm not speaking for a neighborhood, a gang, or anything like that. I'm speaking as a black man who is 56 years old. I will be 57 in November. So you got to imagine I was born in 1963 and they called me a Negro, and I was born in a section of the hospital that was designated for black people. So when we talk about what has happened in the 57 years, let me tell you, the first thing they did as soon as I was born is they killed John Kennedy. The next thing they did was they killed Medgar Evers. What they did after that was they killed Malcolm X. A number of people. They imprisoned Nelson Mandela. They killed not John Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and they killed Martin Luther King Jr. These are some of the things that happened that led up to where they started going on the war on drugs. But as we saw in Cotton Comes to Harlem, in the movie, that the drugs went to New York, man, to disenfranchise and to displace the black families, to take the father out the hood, take the father out the home, and put him in the hood. The same thing they did out here in Los Angeles with the Section 8, the projects, the housing. Yeah, you had to not have a working father in order to qualify for that. So when we talk about systems, man, we talk about the police brutality, we talk about the homicides, but also the wrongful convictions. This has been going on. It has been a plan. Even Planned Parenthood was designed. Mary Margaret, I can't remember her name, but anyway, she wanted to stop the blacks from having babies. So when you say that blacks are just crying the race card and blacks are saying ain't nothing fair when we all got a fair shot, that means that you're disconnected and you don't know. Because it's not true, man. We are designated. Let's go back to 1979 when we talk about Eula May Love, who was in Los Angeles, who was shot by two white officers. Or let's go to New York, man. What did y'all do back in the 80s to Yusef Hawkins? This has been going on. So even though now the new generation is out burning police stations and doing that, and you say something wrong with them, something crazy, they grew up in this PTSD. They do not have not one moment, not 1 minute where there's not a fear for their lives. So think about it. If I was in a domestic violence relationship, if I was in a relationship and I'm telling you that I'm afraid to go home at night, I'm afraid not only for me, but I'm afraid for my children. If I told you that I was in a relationship that had me in fear, most people would say, man, well, get out of that relationship. You shouldn't be in that relationship. That's what's going on right now. We are in a relationship where we're in fear. So imagine all of these people who are insensitive to this. If you're insensitive to what we got going on right now, then you don't understand that we are not only in fear for our lives, but we're in fear for the lives of our children. This is real. And it's systemic. It is not just one incident. If you fire that one officer, if you fire the chief who oversees that officer, it's still systematic change in that department that needs to happen. So as we individuals do our best to work with the young people in the community to get them to stop robbing and looting and doing things of this nature, we want to change their mindset, their behavior, their attitude, but we put them back in the same environment that doesn't support the change. The court system does not support the change. The police department does not support the change. White America does not support the change. The laws that are handed down to black people that are so inappropriate, and so many people are being convicted with no evidence, and I know people who really didn't do the crime. So there's no change being supported, and the perception that every other country has on black people in America has never changed. We are the ones who everybody hates. We are the most hated. So at that point, man, we are the world's most hated, and it's coming out, and now people are filming it. We've been telling y'all for this long, it's not us. It's the system that we are in. People say y'all act like crabs in a barrel. Y'all look like crabs in a bucket. Crabs don't belong in a bucket or a barrel. Let us be free. Let us have, if you want to compare us to that, then let us have our own land. Give us what we have. Give us what we deserve, what you took from us. Our history, our names, all that has been taken. And now you want us to conform in your society. We don't belong in your society. Your society works. Your system works for you. It does not work for black people. In order to change and we can all get along and be together, what we have to do is we have to dismantle this system. This system has to come apart and start all over. It is dysfunctional and it is not working. I do not support this system because it does not work.